Better. Okay, so our class today, we are going to discuss Rochel, the wife of Rabbi Akiva. I didn't want to just write Rochel because then everybody will think it's the matriarch Rochel. 1 minute. Okay, so
Rochel, I just have to say something. Probably at about quarter after, I have to go get the challah out of the oven. So I will be leaving you for 5 minutes.
That's okay, for sure. That's good. And I said, many times with the other stuff while we are listening, that's very good. That's amazing. We all know of the great sage Rabbi Akiva. He was an amazing, great scholar. I mean, the Torah says, I'd like to read from here, he was considered one of the greatest scholar at all times, not just in his time. The sages say that with his sharp mind, he was able to uproot mountains, like very, very strong. Well, it means physically or what, but a very great sage. Hello, Emily. And he had learned so much. He had taught us so much. There's so much in the Torah from Rabbi Akiva. The one that is very famous is that we know that Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha, love your fellow friend as yourself. Rabbi Akiva says is a great rule in the Torah. Everybody believes that you have to love, but it speaks about Rabbi Akiva. And it's amazing. It says Arba'a nichnesu lepardes. Arba'a means four. 4 people went. Thank you. 4 people went into an orchard. Pardes. What does orchard mean? They went into an orchard, the Torah says, and only one succeeded to come out successful. The other one's not. What does it mean, the orchard? It speaks about the orchard of Torah. Pardes, in Hebrew, orchard is Pardes. Pei, Reish, Daled, Samach. 4 letters. Each one stands for something. Pei is, and Pardes is an orchard, like in Hebrew, you'll say, oh, did you go to the Pardes of oranges or whatever? It's a Hebrew word, but hopefully we can follow. Pei is pshat, means the simple meaning, pashut, the simple meaning of the Torah, that it says honor your father and mother. It means you have to honor them. Then there is par, reish, remez. There is different allusions and different hints that because the Torah says this and this, so by honoring them, it means also you have to do this. You're not allowed to sit on their chair. You have to do this. Like more things that speak, let's say, about honoring parents, pardes. Then there is Dalet, pardes. Dalet is drush, midrash, a more mystical part, like more things that are a little bit difficult to understand. It's not the simple meaning, not things that elude you, but a little bit on a higher level. And the last one is sod. Pardes, orchard, sod is secret. And sod is the highest part of the Torah, which are the secrets of the Torah, are the Kabbalah of the Torah, is the neshama of the Torah, the things that we don't see, we cannot, it's much harder to understand, to comprehend, and so on and so forth. This is the sod. And not everybody is able to learn all of it. Usually the beginning of the orchard is easier, the simple part, those things are easier. The sod is very hard. And it says that 4 great people, I don't know, not mention now their names, went into the Pardes to the orchard, but only Rabbi Akiva succeeded to go out healthy in body and sane in his mind. And I think I mentioned many times that at times people tell me, oh, I have the Zohar, which is one of the greatest books of Kabbalah. That is the foundation, very difficult to read. Never mind that it's in Aramaic, not in Hebrew, but even if somebody reads with the translation, it's very hard to comprehend. You can't learn it on your own. People that say they learn, they're making fun of themselves, or sometimes when people read it a lot, they can go insane because you have to be a vessel. You have to understand it. It's not just being smart. You have to be on a high level. And this was Hasidus is, as we discussed, that when the Baal Shem Tov the one that brought the general Hasidus into this world and revealed it to us. And then the Alter Rebbe did it much more in the book of Tanya and started revealing all those secrets of Kabbalah, of mysticism into the world. There was a lot of opposition, not just with the people here, the scholars here, but in heaven. They said, how can you reveal such secrets to simple people like us? That was over 300 years ago. And the answer was, and there was a lot of going back and forth. There was a lot of sacrifice. There were many, in emotions and so on and so forth, what I mean, sacrifice. In the end, what the Baal Shem Tov had explained, what the Alter Rebbe has explained is that a story of a king who was a very wealthy king, and he had only one child. And that one child, unfortunately, God forbid, fell ill. And everybody tried helping, all the doctors, nothing. They were not able to heal the child at all. And the only thing that one of the doctors said, the last thing that we can tell you that possibly can help is if you take the crown jewel in your crown, the middle jewel, the nicest jewel that makes your crown so beautiful, the jewel of your crown, you have to take it off. You have to grind it, make it into powder, and mix it with a little bit of water, and try to put it in the prince's mouth. Now, we don't even know if the prince will able to swallow it, to drink it. He didn't eat and drink for a little while. But there is a possibility that by doing so, to make it so thin and so, liquid and so on, that was a medicine that the doctor said might heal the prince. Did the king even think once or twice? The people around told him, Majesty the king, you cannot do that. It ruins your whole, what you stand for. You're a king and the crown is so beautiful. And if you're going to take that jewel, that ruins your whole crown. And what did the king reply? What is my kingdom worth? What is my life worth? Who needs the crown if, God forbid, this child is not going to survive? So even there is a minute chance that powder of the beautiful jewel diluted with water, mixed with water, will enter the boy's mouth. And if there's a little chance that he will be alive, he'll do it. And he did it. And that's what the Rebbe explained. Alter Rebbe explained, this is what Hashem has done. Years ago, we did not need, perhaps, to know the secrets of the Torah. We were very good with listening to our grandmothers and grandfathers. They said, you do this, you do that. That's the simple meaning. That's how you keep Shabbat. And that's how you honor parents. And that's what you do, etc., etc. And people followed, and we did, and everybody was happy. But unfortunately, as generations went on, it says there is a thing that is called Yeridat Hadorot. Yerida, go down. When you go to Israel, when you immigrate to Israel, it's called Aliyah. When people go, God forbid, leave Israel and don't want to live in Israel anymore, they call them Yorudim. Yerida, they go down. So there is Yeridat, the generations went down. We are not as strong physically as our great-grandparents were. And also emotionally, spiritually, so many people don't keep Torah and so on and so forth. And came the time that we had to reveal the secret. What is the secret of the Torah? That jewel that was in the king's crown had to be brought down. And that's why all of us can learn now stuff that nobody was able to learn before. It takes a lot to explain, to bring it down, like that jewel couldn't be, the prince couldn't take it in his mouth and chew it. First of all, he wasn't able to chew, but even it's not possible. It's not possible to take the Zohar and read it and understand. It has to go down. That's what Chabad Hasidism came and explained the Tanya, and then more and more, many books, many commentators explain what it means. And that's what saved us. That's what is saving us. Because for us in our generation to keep Shabbos just because that's what my grandparents did, it's a little difficult for the youth. It's a little difficult for the people. Well, why should I? And what is this? And what is that? And then that's what Kabbalah came, Hasidus came and explains what does the day of Shabbos represent? What happens in the world up there when it's Shabbos? What difference do you make when you do a mitzvah? Years ago, we did not know all these things. We did not know what it means. You can't sefira, but now we know it means to make yourself better and all the different stages. And we learn so much more, so we want to keep it. If we cover our hair, I'm speaking about married women, and we just do it just because you do it. But when you learn why and you understand the mitzvah more, it's easier to do it. When you wear a yarmulke and you know why you wear it and why it's important, it's easier to do it. You have less, we have many rebellious people anyway, but we understand what is a neshama, what is Shabbos, what is a mitzvah, what are Shabbos candles. It's not just candles that bring light. Well, you can put the electricity in your house, will bring more light. We can tap a little bit into the spiritual worlds. That's what the secrets of the Torah are. And it helped us. And that's what we are all in a way that we are. When the Baal Shem Tov came, the Baal Shem Tov said that the Jewish people at that time, after all the pogroms of the Cossacks and Khmelnytsky, Machshmom, and all the terrible things that happened then in Ukraine, speaking again about Ukraine and Russia, it was very hard. So many people, Jewish people were murdered. It was a very hard life. And people just couldn't continue. And the Baal Shem Tov came and brought new hope. He taught things, he taught the secrets of the Torah that are true, that even by us doing something simple, like reading a Psalm of Tehillim, whether we understand it or not, it's still something special. God cherishes every little thing that we do. Every little thing every mitzvah is a diamond. Every mitzvah Hashem cherishes and holds it and gives us reward for it and so on. So we want to do more. When we smile to someone, it's a mitzvah. When we are in a bad mood and we're trying to keep ourselves up and we smile to ourselves and we becoming besimcha, we become happy, and that's why we help and we do other things. This is special. And here we are learning now about Rabbi Akiva's wife. Rabbi Akiva wasn't from those, if I may call, fortunate people who were born to a very wealthy, rich family. He wasn't from those fortunate people who were born to a very scholarly family, to a very learned family. He was born to a very poor family in Israel. And they did not have enough money to send him to learn. So he couldn't even read. And the best job that he was able to do is he was a shepherd. He was a very kind man. He was a very smart man. He watched the animals. He watched the nature, and he tried to learn many things on his own. Unfortunately, nobody taught him. He didn't go to formal school, I don't know the schools that they had then, but private teachers, and they had schools as well, but you had to pay, I guess, or he had to survive, so he had to work. And he was one of the shepherds in the legendary rich man, Kalba Savua. Kalba Savua was a very, very rich, wealthy man in Yerushalayim, very kind man, God-fearing man, very nice man. And actually, girls, his name wasn't Kalba Savua. He had another name. I don't remember it now, but that was a nickname. Kalba Savua means Kalba, Kelev in Hebrew means dog. Savua means when you are satisfied, when you are full, when you ate enough, ani savea, ani svea, those of us who speak Hebrew. So they gave him such a nickname, Kalba Savua, that they said that somebody who would come into his house hungry as a dog, as the expression, he would go out savea, full, satisfied, so much he had. That's why they called him Kalba Savua. He was a very nice man. And him and his wife had only one child, beautiful daughter by the name Rochel. Rochel was very fine girl, very smart, God-fearing girl, knew Torah, and lived in luxury all her life, being, an only child to such wealthy parents. And she knew, obviously, they would always give tzedakah. They were very nice people. They were wealthy people that shared, always shared. And so many young men would dream to be able to marry Rochel. And they would come day in, day out, and she refused all of them. She was looking for something special. She used to take walks in her father's gardens, in her father's, the place in the flock where all the sheep were, just wanted to see nature. And she noticed one of the shepherds of her father. Her father had many shepherds that used to take care of the flock. His name was Akiva. He was already older. He was almost 40. I don't know how old she was. I don't know if it's mentioned. Maybe it does, but she was younger. And she started speaking with him, and she felt she was so special and so spiritual that she felt that this man is very special. He has a lot of qualities. He has a lot of things but he's so ignorant. And she was speaking to him, and she saw he can't even read or write. Maybe just know a little bit how to read, but really ignorant. But on the other hand, he was very smart. He learned things around, and like he was telling her about the plant stuff that he had learned, and the animals that he was watching, and the sun and the moon, and she felt that there was a lot of future in him. She felt that he had a lot of potential, but he was never given the potential. For whatever reason, as I said before, he wasn't the lucky one that was born to a very smart, intelligent family, very rich family. For him, everything came very hard. He had to work on his own very hard for everything that he would acquire. And many of us in this chat know that. Some of us have friends, or maybe some of us are lucky in one way or another. All of us are very lucky in whatever we have. We are very grateful and we're very thankful. But we know people that get stuff in much easier ways. And many of us here had immigrated, or our parents had immigrated to another country and had to work very hard, and perhaps had to do jobs that in the old country, they were perhaps doctors or lawyers or other high professions, and they had to go be dishwashers and cleaning people and so on in order to survive. And that's not easy, but they did it because they needed to survive. They wanted to be successful. They were thankful to Hashem for everything they had. We don't know the faith of each person. Some people get stuff easy and some get it hard. I guess we are one of those that have to work hard for everything we have, but we're so grateful. We should just always be healthy and well and be able to work hard. Isn't that so? Man. And Rochel, that's right. And Rochel told her father that she doesn't want to marry none of those men that were coming, that were very good looking, young, learned, scholars, wealthy, whatever, I mean, wealth is not so important, but I'm just mentioning because this is something, a quality somebody has. If we use the money to give to needy people, then it's amazing. Then it's good, because then the wealthy person is not selfish. They're selfless. So that's great. Hashem gave them that beautiful quality, that the beautiful gift, I should say, that they have, and they're using the quality of kindness to share, and they're not being stingy. And she mentioned to her father that she wants to marry Akiva, and he went on, and he said, who? Like he thought maybe there's some boy that is called, and she said, no, Dad, Akiva, the shepherd that works for you. You could only imagine how her father felt. He said, Rochel, are you in your right mind? You are our only child. You are the only heir of all of our riches here in Yerushalayim. I want you to continue. I want you to have a family. I want you to get married to a scholar that knows Torah and continue in our ways and be able to help people and so on and so forth. We're going to get married to this ignorant man. He's a very nice man, but this is not for you. Well, nothing would change her mind. And then her father made a vow. And he wasn't just a simple man, he was a great man. And he made a vow. And he told her, and she knew what it means when you make a vow, you have to keep it. She was a learned young lady. And he told her that if you're going to marry him, I'm going to disown you. I never want to see you again. You're not allowed to come to our house. I'm not going to give you any money. I'm not going to give you nothing. All the money, everything that we have, nothing is going to go to you. And that is a very strong statement. Just think about it. She's the only child, everything that she's used to and so on. And here her father is telling her something so strong. And he was sure that this will change her mind, but he didn't. And she said, I understand that, but I really feel that this Akiva has some strong potential and I'm going to marry him. And she left. Now, when they got married, they had nothing. He stopped working for Kalba Savua, for his father-in-law. He was going to learn Torah. They were sleeping in a shack on straw. They couldn't even afford a bed. I didn't get to see. They suffered a lot. She did. He was used to life like that. But a girl that never did any work with her hands were so pure, so silky, so clean. And for her to go to slave, basically, to go clean other people's homes when she never cleaned her own. So much self-sacrifice, so much determination, so much strength, because she wanted this Akiva shepherd to learn Torah. She saw the future in him. And she asked him, I'll marry you only if you're going to go learn Torah. You've got to promise me. And he did. He promised. And then after they got married, once they were walking in the field, and the known story that Rabbi Akiva saw, well, that time he wasn't called Rabbi, but obviously we call him Rabbi Akiva. He saw something fascinating, right? He saw water coming down from a cliff, but very little, drop by drop, just little drops of water hitting a rock. And when he got closer, he saw that the rock had a little curve, right? It made like a little bump, a little hole in the stone, in the rock, because the water is so soft. Water is so not strong. I mean, unless a lot of water comes at once, but a drop, hello, Alice, a drop at a time. But because it took so many years, even a drop of water was able to penetrate and make a mark, make a groove in a strong stone, in a strong rock. So Rabbi Akiva told his beautiful wife, Rochel, do you think there is still a chance for me? Do you think I can still something intelligent, something godly, something spiritual can still enter my heart and my mind, my brain? I'm already 40. I'm already older. Can I still learn? Rabbi Kiva lived till 120. Unfortunately, he passed away in a very, very terrible way with the Roman tyrants, how they killed him. Terrible. We read about it in Yom Kippur. It was the time of the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. And Rochel told him yes. So they made up that he is going to learn for 12 years. And he left the home and he went to a yeshiva of Rabbi Eliezer. It was further from where they lived. And he was there for 12 years. In the end of the 12 years, he was coming back. He came back as he promised his wife. And as he was coming back, he stood outside the tent. And the whole time, I want to tell you, it was not easy. Rochel has sacrificed so much. She didn't go back to her parents' house because her father vowed that she can never come back. She had no help. And here she was working so hard, and many girls, many ladies would laugh at her. And that moment when Rabbi Akiva was going to enter the tent, the little shack where his wife was, he heard a conversation before entering. He was listening. And this lady told Rochel, "You're so foolish. You could have lived such beautiful life of riches and be so happy and have everything you want. And here you're slaving because you decided that your husband Akiva, the simple shepherd, could go learn Torah. You are so silly." And you were just like putting her down. And Rochel said, "I'm so proud of my decision. And if I was able to convince him to go learn for another 12 years, I would do it in a moment." Girls, I have goosebumps. Rabbi Akiva heard it outside the tent. He didn't even walk in. He turned and he went back to the yeshiva for another 12 years. And then when he came back after 24 years, he grew to be the great, great sage, Rabbi Akiva. As I mentioned before, that he was the greatest of all times. He was able to explain things. It's amazing. We're speaking now about his wife. What a great marriage she had, obviously by giving us that great sage. But how special, how holy she was, that she was able to feel it. She was able to sense it. She was able to understand it. And she sacrificed many years of hard work, of suffering, physical suffering. Again, maybe it was hard suffering probably to poor people as well, but especially to someone who wasn't used to it. And she had to leave her parents, which was not an easy thing to do. But she felt that she had to do it because she was going to help the Jewish people get a scholar like never before. Because Rabbi Akiva had this special neshama. And it says that Rabbi Akiva was from he became a sage when he was 64. That's right. So all of us who are reaching 60 or 60, it's never too late. He was 40, and I hope to share with you soon an amazing story, which I heard my friend sent on WhatsApp just 30 minutes ago before the class. Amazing. I can't believe it. And she knew that that's what can come out. She was able to see it. We're going to go on a little bit more to see what happened when he came back to his hometown. But I don't want to forget to learn from this story, girls, to learn from Rochel how special she was. It's not easy to give away from ourselves. I know that we women do it in a way more than many men would, just in our nature, just by being pregnant, those of us who were, by giving birth. And you do it once and you do it twice and you do it, I did it 9 times, Baruch Hashem. Some people do even more, and whatever blessing. Some of us do it once, and that's great, or twice, or 3, whatever it is. We know that it's not easy. I remember when I was having my first child, when I was in Chanukah, and I was so scared. And I remember Menachem was telling me, you know what? So many thousands of years, there's so many millions of people who had babies. Like, how bad can it be, right? It's, he encouraged me. And I remember when the labor started, I said, I was telling myself, I hope I can stay alive. It was so intense. It was so hard, but Baruch Hashem. I remember when I was going to have Yossi, our second child, our first son, our second child, in a way, it was much more, I don't like to say scary, but I knew what I was going for. With Hani, it was more, okay, how much can it hurt? Like, what can hurt? And none of us should ever have any pain besides birth pains. God willing, it says when Mashiach will come, we're going to have babies without any pain, because pain is not good. It's part of the exile. It's part of a curse. It's not good to have pain. Yeah, your body opens up, but Hashem could, the same miracle that Hashem does to have a baby, create a baby, it doesn't have to come out with pain, I mean, obviously we can take now medicine, but what I'm just explaining. But we know, and we still do it. We get up at night, we nurse. Those of us who nurse babies, I know I didn't have it easy, even with the little ones. Sometimes it hurts and you get engorged and you get infections and so many stories. You still nurse because it's better for your baby if you can. Sometimes people don't have milk or so on. Just explaining, we have a lot of selfless in us in a way, but it's not easy. And this is, you see the price that Rochel gave. And I wanted to share that with you because we have to know what great women we have and we had and we have now in our generation. And all of us are great women. All of us have that potential, and all of us do give many things. I know that you give away, I'm sure, and you give away in order to do the right thing. And I don't mean, God forbid, to go sleep in a bed on a straw and not have food and go and the thing that you want, but give away stuff in our life that I enjoy. I enjoy listening to music, and that's great. I love playing music. I happen to love music. I'm not saying, we do have a musician here, but I'm just saying I love music. But on Shabbos, I give up the music that is electric, the music that I cannot listen to because Hashem says that I can listen to it. Yes, you're right. We have wonderful matriarchs. I listen to music that we can sing. Either I sing or I listen to other women sing or men sing or family songs, but I give up something that I enjoy for something higher because I know the little bit that I can understand the secrets of Torah, how Shabbos is special. And in order to attain and get the greatness of Shabbos and feel it and achieve what we are supposed to achieve in the 24 or 26 hours of Shabbos, because we always like to keep a little bit more. We start Shabbos earlier and finish it later because we don't want, God forbid, to desecrate 1 second of Shabbos, God forbid. And that's why it's so important always to try to light candles. The time that we have is 18 minutes before, but even before a little bit so we don't make a mistake. Because I want to achieve it, I give away something. I'm just giving you different examples, how we can learn from Rochel. Rochel, the wife of Rabbi Akiva, gave tons. She gave 24 years of her life to work so hard. We're going to find out soon what happened later once Rabbi Akiva came. But look what she had gave the world. Look what she had brought. Such a great sage, how much she accomplished. So when we give up the comfort of having a cell phone on Shabbos, I just want to watch a video. I just want to WhatsApp. Oh, I want to hear. Oh, somebody texts. Oh, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to text back. God won't be upset. No, we shouldn't use a phone on Shabbos. That's an easy thing. Let's give it up. Let's tell our children and our grandchildren and our parents or our acquaintances. I know it's not easy because some friends do it. Some ladies here tell me they do it and they say they get a lot of flack for it. What? You became religious? You don't pick up the phone on Shabbos? Yeah. I don't know if I became religious. I'm not, it doesn't matter, religious, not religious. I want to try to keep Shabbat as much as possible. It's very hard to do everything. So I'm starting slowly. So I won't use the phone 2 hours on Shabbat, 5 hours, 6 hours, not the whole, slowly. It's a comfort. It's something that you self-sacrifice. You give away something that you're used to for a higher purpose, for higher. You have the $100, you have the $1,000 that you can use for yourself, and you give it to tzedakah. You give it to the Ukraine people, you give it to Chabad, you give it to Israel, you give it to a family, you give it to feed children in camp, children that the parents cannot send them to camp. You sponsor a child, you sponsor somebody in the Lag BaOmer picnic, you call and you say, no, I'm coming with my family. I want to give another $20 for somebody who can't afford, invite them. You could have bought those $20, something for yourself, and you decided to give it away. This is a mitzvah. This is self-sacrifice. What is sacrifice? You give something away from yourself that you could have used for you, and you give it for something higher. You're trying to be selfless, not selfish, but selfless. And this is what we learned from Rochel, the wife of Rabbi Kiva. She's in a very high level. And now what happens? He is coming back. Try to make it faster. And everybody's coming out to greet him. The great sage Rabbi Akiva is coming back, is coming. Nobody knew coming back, not back. Nobody knew that this was the shepherd 24 years ago. Who would even fathom that, right? Nobody knew that. Rochel knew that this is her husband coming back. And he's coming back with 24,000 students. It was amazing. And everybody came up, men, women, children, young, old, everybody was coming out to greet him. And obviously his wife wanted to see him, and his father-in-law, although his father-in-law did not know who he was. And now with all the masses, everybody's coming, the masses of people, the students see that this lady is coming closer, a lady that is all dressed in rags, and she's coming closer. She also wants to see Rabbi Akiva, but she's coming too close. And they felt that it was not appropriate. It was just not modest. So many men around, and you want to come and see Rabbi Akiva, is good, but you're coming too close to him. He's a strange man, like it's not modest, right? You can't touch, you can't. And as she was coming closer, Rabbi Akiva right away recognized her. He knew this was his wife. So obviously he told him right away, stop. Let her come close to me. And what he told her, every time I say it, I get goosebumps. He told her, Sheli v'shelachem shelahi. Sheli, my Torah that I know. Oh God, I'm shivering. My Torah that I know. And your Torah, Sheli v'shelachem, my Torah and your Torah, shelahi, is her Torah. This is all in her merit. It's all because she had done the ultimate sacrifice. She had left riches. She had left comfort life. She even left her family, unfortunately, even though she didn't want her parents. She was an only child because she saw the greatness. Well, I don't think she said she saw the greatness in him. She said because she wanted me to learn Torah. He was a very, very humble man. So again, see here also how great. He didn't say, oh, it's my wife, whatever. In front of everyone, he admitted. He was not egoistic at all. He admitted and he said, my Torah and your Torah, not just mine, all your thousands of people that you were learning, that I was able to achieve, it's all Shelah, it's all her. It's all in her merit. Because if she did not marry me and didn't convince me that there is a future, that even though I'm 40, I can still learn, I can still do, and so on and so forth, I would never done it. I would stay the same old, simple shepherd.
Wow, that's beautiful.
People were, isn't that amazing? True, obviously. And as people were coming to see him and asking questions, who else came? His father-in-law. When the old man came, Rabbi Akiva right away recognized him. But Kalba Savua didn't recognize, he would never thought the thing that, this is the great sage, right, Rabbi Akiva, that this was that shepherd that married his daughter. And he said, Rabbi Akiva, I'm an old man already, and I have a very sad story, and I have to ask you if you can help me. And Rabbi Kiva said, sure, please. Obviously, he didn't tell him who he was. And he said, he told him the whole story. I have an only child, I don't know where she is. I wish I can find her. And I made a vow that I'm never going to, take her back home. And I'm not allowed to break a vow. And I don't know what to do. Nobody can help me. And no rabbi, nobody knows how to help me. Now you're this great sage coming. You learn so much. You're the greatest sage, maybe you have a way to help me. And that was as far as I know, one of the new things that Rabbi Akiva had brought to the Torah. Rabbi Akiva told him, right, when you make a vow, you cannot break it. You have to keep it. But I want to ask you, whatever his name was, would you, if you knew that shepherd, Akiva, would learn, would go to school, would go to yeshiva, and he would become a great, great sage, a fine man, a learned man, not ignorant, intelligent, would you ever make that vow? Would you allow Rochel to marry him? He said, sure. I would never make that vow, never in my life. If I knew that he would become a sage, I would never make that vow. Then he said, well, your vow is nullified. And the man almost fainted. He said, what do you mean, Dolben fainted? He said, well, that Akiva shepherd that worked for you, it's me. I am here standing in front of you. You could imagine the happiness that he was able to, that he found his amazing father, son-in-law and daughter, and obviously they came to his place to live, never had to worry, and he gave them everything he had, and they lived for many long years with their parents and so on. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful end of the story. And that's the end of the story. That's who Rabbi Akiva was and who Rochel was. And I mentioned now at the time of Sphira, there was something that happened with the students of Rabbi Akiva. The only thing that we have to learn from it is that we have to, very good, Cheryl, that we all have a potential. We have to work into our potential to try, because we never know what we can achieve. We have to add in acts of goodness and kindness, in loving a fellow Jew. Lag BaOmer is a very special day. We didn't have a chance today to learn about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was one of the students of Rabbi Akiva. Could you imagine? We know that Rabbi Akiva's students, unfortunately, all perished. We won't discuss now. The 24,000, it was a plague. It's very sad. And they perished during the time between Pesach and Shavuot. And that's why the time of Sphira, we don't shave. I mean, men don't shave. We don't get hair. We don't have haircuts. We don't make weddings, like many things like that, besides Lag BaOmer. Now, there were only 5 students that stayed alive from Rabbi Akiva, from those 24,000. And one of them was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. We know that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was such a great sage that he stayed in the cave for so many years. He wrote the Zohar, which means also something that shines, something that's brilliant, something like so many secrets of the Torah. Remember when we spoke that one of the things that's written in the Zohar that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote, that there will be a time that metal will fly in the air. So amazing stuff. So the greatness of Rabbi Akiva, what a student he had, that Rabbi Shimon on his own had so many students. And Rabbi Shimon's yortzeit is on Lag BaOmer. And Lag BaOmer, it says, it's the 33rd day, it says also that the students stopped dying. There is a comment, either they stopped altogether or that day they didn't die. But why are we so happy on Lag BaOmer, the day that the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai passed away? Because he reached his potential, he reached everything he needed to do. And usually on a yortzeit, you light a candle. But for Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, we light big bonfires, not just a little yortzeit candle. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said it should be a very special day. It should be a day of simcha. It's a day that many people are healed. Many people who couldn't have children, they would get blessings of Lag BaOmer. It's a special time also because we're not allowed to do haircuts during the time of Sfirat HaOmer. So little boys who turn the age of 3, on Lag BaOmer, we cut the hair. And actually, if you see on the flyer that we sent for Lag BaOmer, it said there will be a traditional haircut. Our little grandson, Shmuel, the little boy of Levi and Mushka, is going to have his haircut next Thursday on Lag BaOmer, because his birthday is the 15th of ER and Lag BaOmer is on the 18th. So we wait usually and we'll do it on the Lag BaOmer. So we're going to have another little ceremony there. I really urge all of you to come with your families, with your friends. We have wonderful food. We're going to have program for us adults. We're going to have program for the children. It's not a child's party. It's an adult party, I would say. Obviously, we do things for the kids there as well. Lag BaOmer is a very sacred day, very special day. I don't know if we're going to have a class next week, but I'm thinking maybe yes, because the Lag BaOmer picnic is at 5:30. So I would assume by 8 o'clock we'll finish. I don't know if we finish, if we don't finish. We might have a class, we might not have a class. I would encourage all of us to be there. I mean, we have, couldn't come to the, she's in Toronto, but all of us who are here, actually, we should have as Helena always tells me, we should start having our family conversation in person. So I invite everybody, because if it's 5:30, by the time we finish eating 6:30 and we have progress, we're probably still going to be there. It's going to be a beautiful day. We're going to be outside. And I think we should have our family conversation there in person, just as I'm thinking with you, right? It's going to be great. But please come, spread the word. We have a lot of space, and it's going to be so wonderful. I wanted to share with you an amazing story. It is getting late. I would love to share it, I think, next week. A story that just astounded me, a story that happened 2 months ago, a wedding of a girl with 2 elderly parents, and just amazing. A true story, obviously, that happened in Israel. And I have the picture of the people. And I just want to say what the story shows is that when we have faith, when we feel connected to Hashem, when we ask, we know that Hashem is holding us by his hand. And we just have to make the vessels to be the conduit to get the blessings. We have to try. As we said before, the girl said here that I should wear my glasses. We have lots of potential. We don't know what our potential is if we don't try. If you don't try, we never know. I'm sure, I don't know, I'm picking today on Helena. She's such a wonderful pianist. If she didn't try and practice, she would never have it. Or we have here Larissa sewing beautifully. She done some stuff for us as well. And that's great. It's a talent. Everything that we have is a talent. And we just have to do more. And what else can be a bigger lesson for us than from this beautiful story of Rochel, of one of our special matriarchs, not Sarah, Rivka, Rochel, Leah, but a matriarch that came later on, the wife of Rabbi Akiva, what she has done, how much she sacrificed, how much she gave away, what a hero she was, her heroism, her strong personality, her perseverance for so many years to do something like that, because she believed in something greater than the potential life. Right, it would have been easier for her to stay in her parents' home and live a lavish life, but she wanted to accomplish something. And imagine all the Torah everybody's learning, everything that we had learned from Rabbi Akiva, it's all her merit. It's all her merit, her job, her reward. Amazing.